It all began on a quiet evening in deep space. Captain Ryan was sitting alone inside his small ship, staring at the endless black sky filled with silent stars. He had traveled to many worlds, seen many strange creatures, but nothing had prepared him for what happened that night. As he was checking the navigation system, a soft beep broke the silence. A new message appeared on the screen. At first he thought it was a normal signal from the station, but the words on the screen made his heart beat faster. It said, "You are invited. Come to dinner. No weapons. You are our guest." The alien, Mother. Ryan froze. A dinner invitation? From an alien mother? He read the message again, trying to make sense of it. It was not a threat. It was not a warning. It sounded polite. Too polite. But why him? Why now? For a long moment, Ryan sat, in silence. His hands trembled slightly. Was it a trap? Was it a joke? Or was it something far more dangerous? He had heard stories of explorers disappearing after following strange calls. Some never returned. Others returned broken, whispering about things, too strange for words. Still, curiosity was stronger than fear. Ryan always believed that true explorers must take risks. If he turned away now, he would never know the truth. And so, with a deep breath, he whispered to himself, "All right. Let's see what kind of dinner this is." He set the ship's course to the location written in the message. Slowly, the stars shifted as the ship moved forward. The journey felt long, and the silence inside the cabin grew heavier with every passing second. His mind kept playing questions. Why would an alien mother invite a human? What kind of dinner would it be? Would he return alive? After hours, Ryan finally reached the destination. His eyes widened at the sight before him. There was no city, no base, no large ship. Instead, there was a single glowing house floating in the middle of space. A house. A normal-looking house. With windows, a door, and soft golden light shining from inside. But how could a house float in space without breaking apart? The sight made Ryan's stomach twist. It looked normal, but his mind screamed that nothing about this was normal. He parked his ship outside. The house door opened slowly, as if expecting him. A warm light spilled out, but it felt wrong, like a smile hiding sharp teeth. Ryan stepped out, his boots touching the strange surface. It wasn't ground, yet it held him like solid rock. He looked around, but there was no sound, no wind, no stars close by. Only silence. And then, a figure appeared at the doorway. It was tall, with long arms and a thin body. Its face looked almost human. But the eyes were too large, too bright, glowing like moons. She spoke in a soft voice, almost like a mother calling her child. "Welcome, dear guest, please come in. Dinner is ready." Ryan's heart pounded. Every part of him wanted to turn back, to run to his ship and escape, but his legs kept moving forward. The air around the house felt heavy, pressing against his skin. Each step felt like walking deeper into a trap. Inside, the house looked strangely familiar. A table stood in the center, covered with dishes. Chairs were placed neatly, waiting for a family. The walls glowed with soft light, but they pulsed, like they were alive. The alien mother gestured to the table. Her long fingers moved gracefully, almost too perfectly. "Sit, you must be hungry. Tonight you are part of the family." Ryan's throat went dry. He slowly sat down, but his eyes scanned the room. On the other side of the table, shadows moved. More figures. Children, perhaps. They didn't speak, didn't laugh. They only stared at him with unblinking eyes. The mother sat across from him, her wide smile never fading. "You came without weapons. That is good. In this house, we only share peace and food." Ryan forced a small nod, though his mind screamed, danger. He noticed the lids covering the dishes. The smell of food drifted through the air, strange yet oddly familiar. But something about the silence made the room colder. No one else touched the food. They waited, They waited for him. Ryan tried to calm his breathing. He felt like a mouse walking into a lion's den, sitting at the lion's table, pretending everything was fine. But deep down, he knew something was very wrong. And as the alien children leaned forward, their large eyes shining in the dim light, Ryan realized the truth. This was not just a dinner. This was a test. Ryan's boots echoed softly as he stepped deeper into the strange house. The door behind him closed with a whisper, not a slam, not a lock. But something in that sound made his heart sink. It was the kind of sound that told him, "You are not leaving until they want you to." At first glance, the inside looked almost ordinary. A long table stretched across the middle of the room. A fireplace flickered at the far end, though there was no wood, only a quiet blue flame burning without smoke. Shelves lined the walls, holding jars filled with shimmering liquids, glowing stones, and objects Ryan couldn't recognize. But then, as his eyes adjusted, the house revealed its strangeness. The walls. They moved. Not much. Not enough to frighten. Instantly, but they pulsed, expanding and contracting like the chest of a living creature. The floor under his boots wasn't solid wood. It gave the faintest ripple, like skin stretched over muscle. Ryan forced himself to keep calm. His face showed no fear, but his body was tense. Every part of the house whispered that it was alive. The alien mother walked gracefully ahead of him. Her long dress flowed like liquid silver, never wrinkling, never catching. She moved too smoothly, almost gliding instead of walking. Her large, glowing eyes never blinked. "Please," she said, her voice warm yet unsettling. "Make yourself comfortable. You are safe here." Safe. Ryan almost laughed inside. Nothing about this felt safe. Still, he followed her to the table. The table itself was covered with dishes, each sealed with lids. The smell of food drifted faintly, both familiar and alien. He thought he smelled roasted meat, bread, maybe even fruit, but mixed with scents he couldn't place, sharp and sweet like flowers blooming on another planet. Before sitting, Ryan let his gaze wander. He noticed the figures already waiting. The alien mother's children sat on one side. 3 of them. Small, thin, their bodies delicate, their heads slightly larger than human children. They didn't speak. They didn't move. Their hands rested on the table, fingers long and still. But their eyes blinked in slow, strange patterns, as if following a rhythm only they knew. The father sat at the far end of the table. He was bigger than the others, broad-shouldered, his skin a pale shade that shimmered under the light. He didn't smile. He didn't even shift in his chair. His gaze was heavy, fixed on Ryan, cold as stone. Ryan felt the weight of those stares pressing on him. He had been in alien negotiations before, but this was different. This wasn't politics. This was personal. The mother gestured to the empty chair in the center. "Sit. You are our guest of honor." Ryan sat slowly, careful not to let his hands shake. The chair felt soft, almost too soft, as if it molded itself to his body. Silence hung in the air. Heavy, unnatural silence. He expected chatter, greetings, laughter, something, but no one spoke. No one even touched the food. They only watched him. Ryan forced a smile. "Thank you for inviting me," he said, his voice steady. "This is unexpected." The mother tilted her head. Her smile widened, but her eyes remained unblinking. Unexpected things are often the most important. Her children blinked. Again, their eyes flashing in patterns. Ryan caught the movement from the corner of his eye. At first, he thought it was random. But no. The blinks came in sets, deliberate, too organized to be chance. Were they speaking in a secret code? The father leaned forward slightly. His voice, deep and rumbling, filled the room. "Let him eat." The mother raised her hand almost like a gentle command. "Patience, dear. A guest must first feel welcome." She turned to Ryan. "This house accepts you. This family accepts you. All you must do is accept us." Her words felt soft, but they carried weight. Ryan nodded politely, though his mind spun with unease. Accept them? What did that mean? The mother reached out and touched one of the dish lids. The silver cover trembled slightly, like it was alive. She did not lift it yet. Instead, she folded her hands and leaned closer. Before we eat, tell me, human, do you always eat with your family? Do you always share food, or do you eat alone? Ryan hesitated. The question was simple, but it carried something more. He could feel the eyes of everyone locked on him. He answered carefully. Humans often eat together. It is a way to bond, to show we are close. The mother's smile stretched wider, too wide for a human face. Good, very good. Eating together means trust. Trust is what we seek tonight. The children blinked rapidly, almost vibrating in their seats now. Ryan's chest tightened. He didn't know what their blinking meant, but it didn't feel like joy. It felt like warning. The mother finally touched the dish again. Her long fingers slid over the lid. The silence grew thicker. Ryan could hear his own heartbeat, and then slowly, she lifted it. Steam escaped, carrying a smell that shocked him. It wasn't alien. It wasn't strange. It was human food. A plate of roasted chicken, golden bread, and fresh fruit sat before him. It looked exactly like something from Earth. Ryan's blood ran cold. How could they know? He had never told anyone what he liked to eat. Across the table, the children leaned closer, their blinking faster, frantic now. Ryan looked at the smiling, alien mother, at the silent father, at the unblinking children, and in that moment he knew. This dinner was no act of kindness. It was a trap carefully designed for him. Ryan sat stiff in his chair, staring at the plate in front of him. The roasted chicken, the bread, the fruit, all of it looked so normal, so human that it felt wrong. He had traveled to dozens of worlds, and he had never seen aliens prepare a meal that perfectly matched Earth food. The smell alone tugged at memories of his childhood dinners, of his mother's cooking. But those were safe memories. This was not. The alien mother's smile stretched wide as she folded her hands on the table. The father remained still, his stone-like gaze fixed on Ryan. The children sat like statues, blinking their large, glowing eyes in slow, deliberate patterns. Not one of them touched their own plates. The silence pressed on Ryan's ears. No clinking of dishes, no chatter, no sound except the faint pulse of the house's living walls. The silence itself felt alive, heavy, and suffocating. Finally, Ryan cleared his throat. His voice sounded too loud in the still room. This looks very kind of you, but may I ask, how do you know human food? The mother's smile didn't falter. Her voice was calm, almost soothing. A mother always learns what her children need. We have studied. We have prepared. Tonight you are not just a visitor. You are part of us. Her words sent a chill crawling up Ryan's spine. Part of us? What did she mean by that? He glanced at the children again. Their blinking patterns grew faster, almost anxious. Their heads tilted slightly, all three of them watching him without a single word. Ryan's instincts screamed that they were trying to tell him something. But what? The father finally moved, shifting his large hands onto the table. His voice was deep, vibrating through the room like distant thunder. Why does he wait? Let him eat. The mother raised one elegant hand. Not yet, dear. A guest must feel safe first. She leaned closer to Ryan. Tell me, human, when you eat with family, do you speak? Do you laugh? Or do you sit in silence as we do? Ryan's mouth went dry. He forced a steady tone. Humans, we usually talk. We share stories, we laugh, sometimes even argue. Silence at the table is rare. The mother's eyes glimmered. She seemed almost delighted. Ah, so silence feels strange to you. That is good. We wish to see your reaction. Her children blinked in unison, 3 quick flashes, then a pause, then 2 slower blinks. Ryan's stomach tightened. That rhythm was no accident. It was code. He was sure of it now. But code for what? The silence returned, heavier this time. The air itself felt thick, pressing against his chest. Ryan could hear the faint hum of the house, the steady pulse of the walls, the quiet breathing of the children, but no words. Not one laugh, not one sound of chewing. It was as if the entire family was holding its breath, waiting for him. Ryan slowly reached for the fork. His hand trembled despite his effort to stay calm. He picked up a small piece of the bread, breaking it apart. The smell was warm, comforting, but his instincts told him, "This is wrong. This is too perfect." Still, he forced himself to bring it close to his mouth. The family leaned in slightly, their glowing eyes wide, unblinking. He stopped. He could not take the bite. His survival instinct screamed at him. He placed the bread back on the plate. The father's deep voice cut through the silence. Why does he resist? The mother's smile never broke, but her tone grew firmer. Because he is cautious, that is expected. Her eyes locked on Ryan. But dear guest, do you not trust a mother? Ryan's heart pounded. He kept his voice calm. Trust is earned, not given. For the first time, the smile on her lips faltered. It was brief, almost invisible, but Ryan caught it. The children blinked rapidly again, their eyes almost flickering, like broken lights. Then the strangest thing happened. One of the children leaned forward and whispered. The voice was soft, fragile, but clear enough for Ryan to hear. Don't eat. The word was like a knife in the silence. The father's head snapped toward the child, his glowing eyes narrowing. The child shrank back, lowering its head, blinking furiously. The mother placed a hand on the table, her long fingers stretching unnaturally wide, almost like claws. Children should not speak out of turn, she said, her tone still calm but sharp at the edges. Ryan kept his face still, though inside his pulse raced. That single whisper confirmed everything. This was not kindness. This was danger. The silence returned, darker than before. It was no longer simply quiet. It was tense, threatening, like the pause before a storm. Ryan realized that every second he sat here, every breath he took, he was part of their test. The silence was not just a habit. It was a trap. It was pressure. They were studying him, watching every twitch, every hesitation. He had walked into their game, and now he was a piece on their board. The mother finally leaned back, her smile returning, though it looked thinner now. Very well, we will not rush you. But remember, guest, silence has meaning. And tonight our silence speaks louder than words. Her children blinked again, frantic, desperate, as if their eyes were screaming warnings he could not decode. Ryan sat frozen, every nerve in his body alert. He knew one thing for certain. This dinner was not about food. It was about control. Ryan's hands rested on the table, motionless. The plate before him looked so normal, so harmless. Roasted chicken, golden bread, bright fruit, but nothing about. This place was harmless. The silence of the family, the pulsing of the walls, the whispered warning from the alien child, all of it screamed danger, and yet, the alien mother's glowing eyes were locked on him, her smile calm but firm. Eat, dear guest. You must be hungry after your journey. The father leaned forward, his stone-like face unblinking. Yes, he must eat first. Ryan's pulse quickened. He knew this moment was not about food, it was about choice. They were watching him like scientists watching an experiment. Every movement, every bite, every hesitation would decide his fate. He lifted his fork slowly. The room grew even quieter, as if the walls themselves were listening. The children leaned forward, their large eyes blinking rapidly in strange rhythms. Ryan broke off a small piece of bread, his hand steady despite the storm inside him. He lifted it to his mouth and paused, the smell warm and familiar, so human it almost hurt. With a deep breath, he bit down. The bread tasted exactly as it should, soft, warm, almost sweet. There was nothing strange, no hidden poison, no alien. Flavor. For a moment, Ryan almost believed it was real. The moment he swallowed, everything in the room changed. The alien mother clapped her hands softly, her smile widening. Wonderful. He accepts. The father gave a single nod. Then finally, the rest of the family moved. The lids on their dishes lifted, not by their hands, but by themselves, as if the lids were alive. Steam hissed out, and Ryan's stomach twisted. The children's plates did not hold roasted chicken or bread. Instead, small, writhing creatures crawled on the dishes, their bodies glowing faintly in the dim light. The children picked them up with their long fingers and placed them in their mouths. The creatures squirmed even as they were eaten, tiny legs kicking. The father's plate was filled with a thick black liquid that bubbled and hissed. He lifted a spoon and drank it, his throat expanding unnaturally as he swallowed. The liquid let out a faint hiss as if it were alive too. Ryan forced himself not to react. He kept his face calm, his hands steady. He cut a piece of the roasted chicken from his plate, chewing it slowly, pretending he saw nothing unusual. But inside, his mind screamed, "Why did they give me human food while they ate this?" The mother picked at her own dish delicately. Her food looked like a glowing flower, its petals folding and unfolding, breathing softly. She placed a piece into her mouth, her smile never breaking. "See," she said gently, watching Ryan. "Now we eat together. Now we are family." Ryan swallowed hard. Family. That word again. Every time she said it, it carried a weight heavier than its meaning. He was not here to share a meal. He was here to prove something. The children's eyes kept blinking in frantic patterns. Ryan caught the rhythm again. 3 fast blinks, 2 slow, 1 long. Over and over. He tried to focus, to decode. It had to mean something urgent. Maybe danger. Maybe don't trust. The father's deep voice rumbled through the room. He has eaten. The test begins. Ryan froze mid-bite. Test? He lowered his fork slightly. Test? He asked carefully. The mother tilted her head. "Oh, do not worry. It is simple. To share food is to share trust. We wanted to see if you could trust us. And you did." Her smile grew sharper. "Now we will see if you deserve our trust." The walls pulsed harder, a slow heartbeat echoing through the room. The children's blinking grew frantic, almost desperate. Ryan's stomach turned, not from the food, but from the thick tension pressing in on him. He placed the fork down, his voice calm but firm. "I came here in peace. I accepted your invitation. I ate your food. Isn't that enough?" The father's eyes narrowed. His voice was deep, final. "Peace is not enough. Obedience is what we seek." Ryan's chest tightened. Obedience. The word rang in his head like an alarm. This dinner was no act of kindness. It was not even about cultural exchange. It was a test of control. The mother leaned closer, her glowing eyes never blinking. "Do not be afraid, dear guest. Every child resists at first, but every child learns." The children suddenly looked at her, their blinking freezing in perfect unison, their faces pale. Ryan saw fear in their eyes for the first time, fear of her, and then one of them spoke again, barely a whisper. "Don't take dessert." Ryan's heart pounded. "Dessert?" He looked back at the mother. She smiled sweetly, as if she hadn't heard the warning. But her fingers tapped the table, long and sharp, and her voice carried a chilling promise. "Eat well, human. Dessert is the sweetest part of the meal." Ryan forced a calm expression, but inside he knew the truth. This dinner was not about welcoming him. It was about breaking him, and dessert, whatever it was, would be the true test. Ryan sat frozen in his chair, the taste of roasted chicken still on his tongue, though it now felt like ash. The alien mother's smile never wavered, her glowing eyes fixed on him like a predator studying prey. Across the table, the father drank another spoonful of bubbling black liquid, his throat pulsing with each swallow. The children chewed their writhing creatures silently, their unblinking stares cutting into Ryan. The silence broke with the mother's soft voice. "Tell me, human," she said, her tone gentle but sharp beneath the surface. "When you sit with your family, do your children listen to you?" Ryan hesitated. The question felt harmless on the surface, but he knew it wasn't. He chose his words carefully. "Parents guide their children, yes, but children also learn to make their own choices." The mother tilted her head, her smile tightening. "Choices? Children are not ready for choices. They must obey. Only then can they be safe." Her long fingers tapped on the table, a slow rhythm that echoed with finality. The children froze mid-blink. None of them moved. Not even their breathing seemed visible. Ryan caught their fear. The father spoke, his deep voice rumbling. "Do humans punish disobedience?" Ryan leaned back slightly. His instincts told him to tread carefully. "We teach, we guide. Punishment is not the same for everyone. Sometimes it is gentle, sometimes strict, but it must be fair." Father's heavy gaze darkened. "Fairness is weakness, only obedience keeps order." Ryan swallowed hard, his mind racing. These weren't dinner questions, they were tests. Every answer mattered. They wanted to know if humans were like them, or if he would bend to their rules. The mother leaned closer, her glowing eyes reflecting in Ryan's own. "Do you love your mother, human?" The question struck him unexpectedly. His chest tightened. He thought of Earth, of a woman with warm eyes and soft hands who once told him to always be brave. His voice softened. "Yes, I do." The mother's smile stretched wider, but there was no warmth in it. "Good. Then you will understand. A mother's love is obedience. A mother knows best. Children must never question her." The children blinked rapidly again, their glowing eyes frantic. Ryan tried to focus, counting the flashes. 3 long, 2 short, then 1 pause. Over and over. His heart thudded. It was definitely a code, a message. But he couldn't yet unlock its meaning. The mother's tone sharpened. "Do human children ever say no to their mother?" Ryan's lips pressed together. He thought of his childhood, of arguments at the table, of slamming doors, of learning to grow. "Yes, they do." The silence grew heavier. The father's face darkened further. The children froze in terror. The mother's smile remained, but her voice was colder now. "And what happens when they say no?" Ryan steadied his breathing. "We teach them why they are wrong, or sometimes why they are right. A mother does not own her child. She guides." The room itself seemed to tremble. The walls pulsed faster, like a heartbeat quickening. The father growled low, his voice vibrating through the air. "Weak. Humans are weak." The mother raised her hand to silence him, though her smile had thinned. She turned back to Ryan. "Interesting. Very interesting. You defend disobedience. You defend choice, perhaps. You do not belong at this table after all." The words hit Ryan like ice. His mind screamed danger, but his face remained calm. He had been in tense negotiations before. He knew one thing: never show fear. He leaned forward slightly, forcing his voice steady. "Maybe your family sees obedience as love, but humans see love as trust. It is different, but not weaker." The children blinked wildly now. Ryan's pulse raced as he realized they were trying to back him up. The code, the frantic signals, it was their only way of resisting their mother. The father slammed his hand on the table, the sound echoing like thunder. The dishes rattled. His deep voice boomed. "Enough talk. End this test." Ryan tensed, ready to leap if needed, but the mother's calm hand stopped the father. She leaned forward, her face inches from Ryan's. "No," she said softly. "This is not finished. There is still dessert." The word sent a shiver down Ryan's spine. He remembered the child's whispered warning, "Don't take dessert." The mother's smile grew sharper. Dessert reveals the truth. It will show me if you belong to this family, or if you are only pretending. The walls pulsed harder, the light in the room flickering. The children blinked one last desperate sequence. Ryan finally caught a pattern. 3 blinks, pause. 2 blinks, pause. 1. Over and over. It was the word no. They were telling him, do not accept her. Do not eat again. Ryan's throat tightened. He forced a calm nod, though inside his heart thundered like a drum. He had passed one part of their test, but the hardest part was coming. Dessert. The mother leaned back, her glowing eyes never leaving him. Eat well, human. The sweet part of the meal decides everything. Ryan straightened in his chair, his mind racing with plans. He knew one thing. If dessert was placed in front of him, it would not just be food. It would be a trap sharper than any blade, and refusing might be the only way to survive. The air inside the living house had grown heavy, like a storm waiting to break. Ryan sat perfectly still, his plate of human food untouched now. Across from him, the alien mother's glowing eyes never blinked, never softened. Her children stared at him, their frantic blinking patterns almost desperate, their lips sealed in fear. The father's massive hands rested on the table, each finger too long, too strong, like sharpened branches of a dead tree. His deep voice finally broke the silence. The first bite is done. The questions are answered. Now he must know. Ryan's pulse quickened. Know what? The mother tilted her head, her silver hair falling like liquid light. Her smile returned, but this time it no longer looked motherly. It looked sharp, dangerous, like the edge of a blade. Do you wonder, she asked softly, why I invited you here? Why a mother would call a stranger from the stars to sit with her family? Ryan's mouth was dry, but he forced his voice steady. I've been wondering since the moment I arrived. Her fingers traced the rim of her glowing plate. The sound was soft, but it echoed through the room like a warning bell. It is simple. We have studied your kind. We know humans think of family as warmth, as love, as trust. We wanted to see if a human could fit inside our family, to see if your ways could join with ours. Ryan's gut twisted. He had suspected something like this, but hearing it aloud made his skin crawl. The mother leaned forward, her eyes burning brighter. But the truth is sharper than kindness. You were not invited to dinner for food, you were invited for testing. Her smile widened until it almost split her face. You are the experiment. The children flinched. Their blinking patterns froze for one terrifying second, then resumed faster, almost like screams in silent code. Ryan's mind raced. He had walked into their trap willingly. Now every move mattered. He kept his tone calm. And if I pass this test? The father's deep voice answered. Then you remain. You stay. You learn obedience. You become family. Ryan's chest tightened. And if I fail? The mother's smile turned cold. Then you do not leave. Walls pulsed harder, the floor rippling beneath his boots. Ryan's instincts screamed at him to run, but he knew the door was gone. The house itself felt alive, watching him, holding him like prey in a cage. The mother rose slowly from her chair. She was taller than he expected, her thin body stretching unnaturally as her silver dress flowed around her feet. She circled the table gracefully, her long fingers brushing the backs of her children's chairs as she passed. You see, human, she continued, we have studied many species. Some fight, some flee, some obey. But humans are strange. You resist even when you are weak. You argue even when you are powerless. You refuse silence. She stopped behind him, her breath cool against his ear, though her lips never touched him. We want to know. Can a human be taught obedience? Can a human surrender to a mother? Ryan's jaw tightened. He didn't answer. The mother's hand rested lightly on his shoulder. Her touch was soft, but his skin crawled beneath it as if venom seeped from her fingers. Do not fear, dear guest. You are not the first we have tested. Others came before you. Ryan's eyes widened. He turned slightly. Others? The father's deep growl filled the room. Yes, explorers, wanderers, guests. They did not pass. They did not leave. The children lowered their heads, blinking furiously. Ryan's blood ran cold. This was no first experiment. He was only the latest in a long line of guests. The mother leaned closer, whispering, "But you are different. You hesitate, but you do not break. That is why I chose you. That is why dessert is important. Dessert shows truth." She glided back to her chair, her movements unnaturally smooth. The lids on the dishes rattled softly, as if alive. The children's blinking grew frantic, their bodies trembling. Ryan clenched, his fists beneath the table. He could almost hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. He was not here to share a meal. He was here to prove whether humans could be controlled. The mother folded her long hands together. Her smile returned, calm and sharp. If you take dessert, you become one of us. You accept obedience, you accept me. Her voice lowered, almost like a lullaby. But if you refuse dessert, you insult the mother. And no one insults the mother. The father's heavy gaze burned into Ryan. The children froze, their blinking desperate now. One of them let out the faintest whisper, so soft Ryan barely caught it. Run. But the house had no doors anymore. The glowing walls pulsed like muscle, alive and breathing, sealing him inside. Ryan drew a long, steady breath. He knew what this dinner truly was now. It was not about family. It was not about peace. It was about control, about testing if humanity could be broken into obedience. And he also knew one more thing. Dessert would decide his fate. The room had grown still again, heavy and suffocating. Ryan sat at the long table, his untouched plate of roasted chicken glowing faintly under the strange light. Across from him, the alien mother's wide smile held steady, sharp as a knife, her glowing eyes never blinking. The father sat in silence, his gaze like stone, while the children's frantic blinking filled the room like a secret alarm only Ryan could hear. And then, the lids on the dishes trembled. Slowly, one by one, they slid open without a single hand touching them. A new smell filled the air, sweet, almost intoxicating. It wasn't the warmth of bread or fruit. It was sharper, sweeter, like honey mixed with metal. Ryan's stomach tightened. This was it. Dessert. In front of him, the lid lifted from a small silver bowl. Inside lay something glowing faintly, pulsing like a living organ. It was soft and round, beating slowly, like a heart. With every pulse, it released a sweet aroma that crawled into Ryan's nose, into his head, making him dizzy. The mother's voice was soft like a lullaby. Eat, dear guest. Dessert is the sweetest part. Dessert makes you family. Ryan's throat went dry. His instincts screamed at him, don't touch it. Don't eat. He remembered the child's whisper, don't take dessert. But the mother's gaze pressed on him, her smile unshaken. If you eat, you belong. If you refuse, you will not leave this table. The father's voice rumbled like thunder. Eat. The children's eyes blinked rapidly. 3 blinks, pause, 2 blinks, pause, 1. Over and over. No. 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 Ryan's mind raced. This wasn't food. This was something else. Maybe a parasite. Maybe a living seed. Maybe the house itself feeding on him. Whatever it was not meant to nourish him. It was meant to bind him. The mother tilted her head, her silver hair sliding like liquid. Do not be afraid. All children resist at first, but once you taste dessert, obedience will follow. You will understand a mother's love. Ryan forced his voice steady. And if I refuse? Her smile faded just slightly, sharp edges showing. Then you insult me, and no one insults the mother. The walls pulsed harder, the heartbeat of the house quickening. The floor rippled beneath his boots. The room itself seemed alive, waiting for his choice. Ryan's hand hovered over the silver spoon. He felt the eyes of the entire alien family burning into him. He knew one thing: eating would mean losing himself. Refusing might mean death. Slowly he wrapped his fingers around the spoon. The children froze. Their blinking stopped. Their faces turned pale. Ryan lifted the spoon, then slammed it down on the glowing heart, crushing it into the bowl. The dessert let out a sharp, high-pitched screech like a dying animal. The sweet smell turned sour instantly, filling the air with a burning stench. The mother's smile cracked. For the first time, her glowing eyes flickered. "No!" she hissed, her voice sharper, darker. "You refuse me?" The father roared, slamming his massive hands onto the table, shaking the room. The walls screamed, the pulse turning violent. The children gasped, their blinking frantic now, their bodies trembling. Ryan rose from his chair, his voice firm. "I came here as a guest, not a prisoner, and I will not obey." The mother's face twisted, her wide smile breaking into something monstrous. Her voice grew deeper, layered, no longer human-like. "Then you will not leave." The walls surged, closing in, glowing veins pulsing like fire. The father pushed himself up, towering, his body stretching unnaturally. The children cried out in alien voices, their blinking wild, almost blinding. Ryan backed toward the door. But there was no door anymore. The house itself had sealed shut. The glowing walls pressed closer, the floor shifting beneath him like flesh. He scanned the table, the lids, the dishes, the glowing jars on the shelves. His eyes locked on one jar, a shimmering stone inside, glowing bright, pulsing against the rhythm of the house. The heart. The core. Without hesitation, Ryan grabbed the jar, smashing it against the table. The stone inside cracked open, spilling light across the room. The walls screamed, the floor convulsed, the house shuddered like a wounded beast. The mother shrieked, her silver dress twisting into black tendrils. The father roared, his body collapsing like stone breaking apart. The children wailed, their blinking turning into blinding flashes of white light. Ryan shielded his eyes, stumbling backward as the room tore apart. The glowing walls split, the heartbeat stopped, and the house began to dissolve into dust. Through the collapsing chaos, Ryan saw the children turn to him. Their glowing eyes dimmed, their faces softening. One of them whispered, faint and broken, "Thank you," and then they vanished with the house. Ryan staggered out into open space, falling onto the ground that wasn't really ground, just the strange surface where his ship waited. The glowing house was gone. Only silence remained. Breathing hard, Ryan stumbled into his ship, sealing the hatch behind him. His hands shook as he launched into the dark void, leaving the cursed place behind. As the stars stretched before him, Ryan whispered to himself, his voice hollow. It was never dinner. It was never family. It was a cage. His mind returned to the dessert, to the pulsing heart, to the mother's words. Obedience is love. A mother always knows best. He shivered, gripping the ship's controls tightly. He had escaped, but just barely. And even as he sped away, he knew the truth. There were other houses, other mothers, waiting in the stars. And one day, another human would hear the same invitation. Come to dinner.